Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Alright, as I promised not long ago, here's the archery setup video. We'll start with the bow. Typical takedown recurve bow. 2 bolts on either limb, 30-pound pull, 50-inch string. Packs up nice and compact, assembles really quickly, and yeah, I love this bow. There's nothing special. There's no huge brand name to it. I have no idea who made it. I think this was ordered off of Amazon a few years ago. I've been practicing with it, and I love it. I feel comfortable with it. So $500 on a bow, not needed. Unless you're going to go into compound bows and stuff like that. I prefer a simple recurve like this. Just the fact that the strings are cheap. Like $10 for a string, not even a 50-inch string on this one. And yeah, easy to replace if it does break or starts to wear down. Easy as pie to replace a string like this, not so much on a compound bow. Or a crossbow, for that matter, which I also have, but I won't show you today. That side, there it goes. Along with that, the glove, the 3-finger glove. A lot of people don't like to use them. I do. Specifically for practice. Goes over the 3 fingers that you need. Protecting. That are always on your string. Nice tight fit. Nothing's going to get caught anywhere. I love this one. Get that pull back. Especially, like I said, during target practice. Shot after shot after shot after shot. Starts to wear on the fingertips a little bit. So I did get the glove. Let's put that in view of the other camera there. There we go. All right. Now, arm guards. A lot of people love using arm guards. I don't use them. I learned my lesson quite early on. Pick up the bow for demonstration here. If you're going to hold your arm straight out like that to shoot, pull this back, you're going to nail yourself every time. You want to make sure you keep that elbow curved out a little bit and keep your wrist locked and away. You see how far off it is? That way when I'm shooting, straight this way, no cutting up of the arm, shouldn't be a problem. Yeah, you can practice that, and the best way to practice it is just let yourself get hit a couple of times in the arm, and your forearm will tell you how to curve itself so you don't do that in a real big hurry. A half decent quiver. I used to use one of those cheap, the roll-up document things where you roll up plans and stuff and throw it in a plastic tube. It had a cap on it. It was all right. It worked, but the problem was it was noisy when you were walking around with it. The arrows are bouncing around inside. Thug, 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 thug. I didn't like that. And also, it didn't have like this one has the belt attached to it, or you have the shoulder strap. Now, I like to use this with the belt. I keep the quiver accessible on the right side of my right hip over here. I don't like it slung across the back just because I find it difficult all the time reaching back and extending that arm up far enough to be able to get the arrow out of the quiver. So yeah, this strap, I'll probably just use this to carry it around if I'm not actually wearing it at the time. But other than that, it's not going on my back. It's going on my hip. It's where I'm comfortable. You may be different. Maybe you've got a longer arm reach than me, and you're totally comfortable going up over the shoulder to get it and pulling it out. I'm not. I like to wear it on the hip. The one thing I don't like about this one is the size of those tubes. You see that. The problem is when we get into, now we're going to talk about some heads, some points. Here is typical, you can see it there, typical 3-blade broadhead. Okay, just like that. Now, this is a 7/8 inch cutting diameter, which is the minimum size I'm allowed to use by law in Quebec to hunt with. For big game, this one will take down a deer. And like I said, it's the minimum, and I think this is a 100 grain head that I've got on here. But the problem with this is not the arrow itself, not the head itself. It doesn't fit in the tube. The tube is smaller. It looks like about a 3/4 inch instead of a 7/8. So I can't actually keep arrows with broadheads on them in this quiver. That's the one thing I don't like about it. I'll look at some options. Maybe we'll pull these tubes out, get one more bigger piece of tube to put in there. Maybe that'll help. Maybe they'll bounce around too much and make too much noise. I don't know. That's the one disappointment I had with these. So when you're shopping for a quiver and you want to use broadheads like that, make sure that your broadheads actually fit in there. I'll figure something else around that. We'll see. Right now, it's not a huge issue. I'm not doing a lot of hunting. Another head I got, if we look over into the other camera there, is, I don't know, what do they call these? Grapplers? It works through blunt force trauma. If you look at the very tip of it here, it's blunt. It's almost flat. A tiny little, almost a point in the middle, but it's not really. It's just probably a machining mark, not really a point. You see that little piece in the middle of the head there? That's just a tooling mark from when they machined it. The whole idea of these spring-loaded prongs here is supposed to be that if you're hunting bird, that these will get tangled up in the feathers and hold your arrow to the prey, making it easier to find both the arrow and the prey. But another reason I've heard for them is that hunting in grassy areas, they will actually arrest your arrow somewhat because they will catch on the grass as it goes by and slow your arrow down, meaning it doesn't go as far. It's going to make it easier to find. Well, yeah, that's fine if you miss, but if you're on target and you've gone through a lot of grass and stuff, this could easily caught up, diverted, and you miss, or it could slow it down to the point where all you're doing is ticking off your prey. You go for a rabbit or something and you don't hit it hard enough, it's just going to hop away. Doesn't do a lot of good. So I'm not a huge fan of these in grasslands and stuff, but for bird hunting, well, we'll see how they do. If I ever get out start targeting some birds, crow hunting or something like that, we'll see how they do. But from what I've seen from people reviewing these online, they're mediocre. I'd much rather use a thumper, which I've ordered some and they're on their way. So as soon as I get those in, I will let you all know. This one's a bit of a novelty for a lot of people. A whistler head. And you see the two holes in the tip there. When this gets shot through the air, it will whistle. And boy, I've tried these. It whistles loud. What's the point of that? Well, there we go. You see it over there. The point of that is either if you're hunting in a group and you separate to hunt, one of you gets something, you could take one of these, fire it off. It makes a loud whistle. Your hunting partner is going to know that you caught something. He's going to come meet up with you. If you're in a defensive position, flying a few of these through the air can confuse people. They're not sure what's coming at them. It's totally harmless. It's barely sharpened. I doubt this would even penetrate skin if it were fired at somebody at any kind of distance. So it's not dangerous in that way. But when you're in an offensive situation and you start hearing these things screaming at you, coming at you, you're going to stop and look and try to figure out what the heck is being thrown at you, which, well, might give you a defensive advantage to do something else, whatever that something else might be. That's pretty much it for now. Like I said, I have some thumper heads coming in that should be interesting to catch. As soon as I get them in, I will come back on. And I also ordered a molly style pouch to be able to hold all of these broadheads in because I've got quite a few of them. These broadheads, I'm up to 15, I think, now that I've got on these. The grapplers, I got a half a dozen of those. The whistles, I got a half a dozen of those. The thumpers that I ordered a dozen thumpers for small game. I want to be able to put my glove in there. Everything in a nice little molly pouch that will attach to the belt on my quiver, and I can just grab the quiver. All my heads are with me, all my arrows are with me, and then just grab the bow, and away we go. So, archery for dinner pot hunting, awesome idea. Dinner pot hunting is small game, waterfowl, birds, rabbits, raccoons, things of that nature. Something that you can bring home, feed the fam with for a night, make a nice stew up, without having to worry about how you're going to preserve it. You're going to go for a deer or a moose or elk or something like that. You're going to have to know how to preserve it pretty quickly after you kill it and bring it home. So dinner pot hunting, archery, in my opinion, is the way to go. You can use a 22 long rifle too, but I'd rather save ammunition and use a cheaper, often reusable option in an arrow. Not all the time. They do break. You hit rocks when you miss. They can shatter. The broadheads especially, that's why I have 15 of them, and I'll be getting more of these. These tend to dull, get chipped, all sorts of stuff. Even when you hit, bone is going to damage that. If you miss, rocks, branches, stuff like that, it's all going to damage these things. They're fairly fragile. So I have a lot of those. Got 15. I'm going to be ordering more. I always order more, because that's just the way it is. The more you have, the better off you are. So dinner pot hunting, archery is the way to go. One of these days, you know what, when spring springs and we can get a little outdoors, we'll do a demonstration for you. Maybe even sight in the old crossbow. That's it for now. So archery, dinner pot hunting, small game, awesome. And of course, be prepared, Canada. It's a tough world out there.